All right, Sonic, everybody. Welcome to the first podcast for the season. Join with me. We have Habibi, Kamish, and Arsel. How are you guys doing
Assalamu
today, boys?
alaikum. Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, can't complain, can't complain. So we're going to start off, inshallah, with the player of the week, Daniel Said.
Oh,
Video here.
yo! Ah, my leg! Oh my god, I think I broke my leg! Oh my god, my leg! Oh my god, oh my god, you okay? You okay? Bro, oh my god, I'm so sorry I hit you by accident. Wait, wait a minute. You're player of the week, Daniel! I mean, yeah, I am, but like, dude, are you okay? Man, I'm fine now. Welcome everyone, my name is Daniel Said. I want to thank the referees for choosing me to be player of the week. I also want to shout out our sponsors, Nook Vibrant Kitchen. They're a halal meals organization, and alhamdulillah, their meals are very good. I also want to shout out my team Iman for an absolute amazing performance we put on last week. I want to give a big special shout out to the Mohadeen brothers. They played like dogs out there. I want to shout out my GMs, Muhammad and Bilal. And I also shout out my goalie, Yusuf Kapoor.
Yusuf, can you hear me?
He played so good. And I also want to shout out Zan Ghazi.
Oh,
for helping me record
assalamualaikum.
the
Yeah,
video.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
think it wasn't working the mic, but
Oh,
sorry
all
for
good.
the technical difficulties. I think the power lines are down in Mississauga, so the
Oh,
snow is
yeah?
down, and
Right, right.
that's why it's
No
not.
worries. All good, all good. Well, yeah, that was our player of the week video. We have a couple of Daniel's goals as well here that'll play. How's the beauty? What
It's
is
good.
a good one. That's a good one.
You know,
Yeah.
he's just
I mean, we've
he's such a quick player, right? Like
yeah, he's very quick.
he's very quick, and like you saw, like he just kind of zoomed through the middle. There were three
Mm,
guys trying to get a stick on his stick to get the ball away or like knock it out for some, but like, he's just too fast. And
yeah,
even
yeah,
when even like about I think like he's coming back maybe 2 seasons later.
yeah,
But the season he was with Yakin, the championship winning season, he was an integral part of why they won. Like he was big.
yeah,
Um, I think he was on the second or maybe third line, but his hustle really helped them win that championship. And you could
yeah,
see
for sure.
how it matters over here, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have another one here.
That was great.
Nice. Yeah, another really nice one. Right place, right time. Really shifty to get around that defender who thought he had him. You see, I don't know who that defender is, but he's walking off pretty annoyed that he didn't have him. But how can you have a player that fast, right?
Yeah, I mean, like when you got young legs like that, I mean, it's and
Hmm
especially like he's got the legs and the guys feeding him the ball also have legs. So when you got like a tandem, just feeding off each other with with that much speed, goalies have no chance.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So we actually have a our first transaction of the season. So Omar Hussein has actually dropped out, and Adam Ahmed will be coming in to replace him. So what do you guys think of that?
This is a blockbuster.
Yeah,
Like this is
absolutely.
huge. This is massive for Yakin. Like I'm shocked. Like I this is I mean, yeah, I listen, they lose a guy who's Omar was saying to me, he's just such a big player for your team, right? Like he's a first round pick. He's got the hands. He's a leader in even in the locker room and on the pitch as well. But like he can pass. He's got an excellent shot, like one of the best
Mhm.
wrist shots I've probably seen. But at the same
Yeah,
time, Yakin just gets stronger on D. with
yeah, yeah.
with
There it
Zach
is.
and now you're gonna have like Adam Mehmet coming in and out. We know Adam Mehmet. We know what he's capable of.
Yep.
He can run. He's a tall guy, and at the same time, he okay. One thing I'll tell you about him, he can run. Like that guy can run for days. Like I don't know. I think he participates in some marathons and stuff. But yeah, he can run, and
hmm
you got a guy who's got a lot of stamina. He's smart with the ball. But you know what? They bolstered their defense. My only concern is what are they going to do for their offense.
Hmm.
So I'm actually on that team. so
Nice.
I'm actually on that team. So I mean, for me, I love both guys. I mean, obviously Omar Hussein brings a different dynamic, and also Adam Ahmed brings a different dynamic to both. To both. It was the first game of the season. Obviously, Omar, having dropping out of the season due to injury. Obviously, we didn't really have the opportunity to actually play with Omar. So actually losing or Yakin losing their first round pick and not even having the opportunity, having Adam Ahmed just kind of fill in that void in terms of that first pick overall would help Yakin because they never
Mhm.
had a first pick overall anyhow. So Omar Hussein is actually one of those guys, those crafty players that can either play D or forward. I don't know where the Yakin guys, we're gonna slate Omar in terms of like what where they had, but I know Yakin because I'm on Yakin. We do have a good mix of D and a good mix of forward. But Adam Ahmed, I mean, obviously we all know what he can bring. The guy's fast. There's no question about it. Yes, as Rizzy mentioned, he can play big minutes and he can play D as well. So he can play D or forward. But at
Yep.
least for Yakin, it adds that value of that first round pick that we never really like. Yakin never really had the opportunity to have. So obviously, from our perspective, we wish Omar obviously a speedy recovery. But having Adam Ahmed is obviously a good player to have on any team. But on specifically Akeem, obviously, like we can have Adam on forward, we can have Adam on D, very positive guy in the locker room. So it's a great addition either way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had the pleasure of playing with Adam a couple times. He tends to draft me, and also in different leagues as well. And yeah, as a goalie, like it's great to have him in front. He's a good mix of a stay-at-home D-man. He's not afraid to get in front of the shot. He'll
Yeah.
clear the slot like no one's business. And then on the blue line in the O zone, he's a unit. He's very very hard to get by. Does a great job of boxing guys out.
Yeah.
He's a
Right.
freight train.
So, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we'll get into the scores from last week now, inshallah. So first we have a landslide victory from Iman, 6-1 against Saad.
Blowout.
Blowout, yeah, yeah. And I don't think any of us were expecting this, especially after that draft. So I remember we were going through Yakin's draft, and they're just picking up all the same. Oh, sorry, Taqwa's team, and they're just picking up all the same Yakin guys from last year. So we thought we were going to see a repeat, but this definitely took me by surprise. I mean, my game was last, so I didn't see any of them except for I believe your game, Arsenal, and mine. But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on this?
Well, I think the score speaks for itself. I think Tuckwa was taken by surprise in terms of of Iman's speed. I mean, I underestimated their speed, but after watching them play, they're quick. Do you see what I mean? And obviously with the
Yeah,
first game jitters and all that stuff. Once
yeah,
you get that out of the way, once the guys start gelling up. But again, you guys mentioned it early in the podcast too. Like Tuckwa did pick up a lot of the Yakin players from last year. So they were um, there's that chemistry. But again, Iman's speed. There's no question about that's going to face these guys week in and week out. I mean, it'll catch everyone by surprise. So whether it's a first game, sixth game, seventh game, you just have to have a game plan with these guys because not only do they have speed, but they also have chemistry with all the three brothers as well. And I think in this game, it was just probably one of those that took Tuckle by surprise. And again, it's the first game, just guys getting gelled in terms of like positioning and all that stuff. I just think it was just one of those first game jitters, but I'm sure Tuckle will be fine.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think yes, Takwa did draft a similar team from last year, but there are some notable changes on the team. That's just my opinion. Like when you lose important guys like Misbah Siddiqui, who's not just a calming presence on D, but he's a smart IQ player on their defense, and then you also lose somebody like Dilaw Relvi, that makes a huge difference. And Dilawr's he's not just a great stay home defenseman, but he's also a very important figure in the locker room. So when you lose important players like that, I don't know. Again, like I said, this is only just first game. We can't really base just 6-1 and like say that was wash. No, not that's not the case. I
Right.
think I think they do need time to gel together. But if this is a story of what's to come later on, then I'd be a bit worried. But I think they need to sort out because when I watched this game, the first half was very tight, and Khalid Mufti really kept them in this game in the first half. He made some phenomenal
Right.
saves. He was right in it, and he really tried. But from the second half, the speed was just too much for them to handle, and they kept again. Like I've been on Takwa, and getting beat on the outside is not fun. Like just the goal we watched, it was he went through the outside. Nobody was covering the guy in the middle. Right pass across, shoot scores. Right, so you got to eliminate those chances from the point, from the sides, wherever you can. But I think defensively they'll have to sort it out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but even with those
Oh,
guys out, they still got guys like, I'm sure Yusuf, you're familiar with, Hussein Panju, Yusuf Zaidi, and they
yeah,
still
yeah.
have guys
Yeah,
that,
Bilal
that
Loudly,
kind
yeah,
of,
like
they
they're
still
good
have
guys.
guys that can take over, those missed spots. But again, like you can't dismiss or deny the fact that, Misbah and, Delar were gone. But again, they do have additions that work well with their system. You know what I mean? Like in terms of, like I said, having guys like Hussein and Yusuf Zaidi in the back there or on their team, it adds a different dynamic of that element of youth. But at the end of the day, like I'm looking at this team right now, Iman, and it's not just going to be against Takwa. It's going to be for all the other 7 teams that they play. This team is definitely one to beat in terms of like the speed and the youth that they got on that team for sure.
Plus
Yeah,
support in
yeah,
net,
absolutely.
right? So that, I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you already have one of the
Oh,
best goalies in net as well. So
there you go. I forgot
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So our next game of the evening, oh, I went too far, was a close one between Haya and Yakin. Just 2-1, and it was very from what I've heard is very very neck and neck. I mean, as you can tell by the score. Any of you guys catch that one?
Well, I played in this
yep.
game. So.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
I played in this game. So I think for us, like for Yakin at least, um, the Haya scored 2 quick goals, and by the time we had our rhythm and stuff like that, we did score a goal later on in the game to make it 2-1. But it's just one of those, again, first game jitters. Getting line sets. We started off, not as strong as we wanted to be. Guys just coming in and stuff like that, and that killed us in the beginning of the game with Haya scoring those two quick goals. And us fighting from behind. We did manage to score that goal, but that's not to give credit to Haya. Haya played an extremely well game. Obviously, looking at the dynamics of Haya and the Haya hustle, and everything that comes along with it, they're a different look. They're a different team.
Mhm.
You got guys that traditionally are not on that team, but with Altaf Panchati there, and then Sufyan Sheikh, I think he got drafted like third or fourth in that round, where traditionally he would have been drafted higher. But those guys cause ruckus. You know what I mean? When you got Sufyan and obviously you got Ray,
Right.
Luke and Akib. They're a different look. They're a different look team, and I
Mhm.
think again, I think if we would have just if we would have just started a little bit on time, a little bit there, then I think we would have been in a different position. But kudos
Yeah,
to Haya, they played well. But at the end of the day, it's just again first game jitters. Once we get everything across, I don't think there's
yeah,
anything. I don't think Ikin has anything to worry about. But Haya, they're definitely a different look. Definitely not the Haya that we're used to in the
mhm.
past, and they're also
Yeah.
a team to watch out for sure.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that, Habibi, because I remember talking to Arsenal Abdullah on the draft pod, talking about how we saw Altaf and Rayan go high for Haya, which, like you said, is completely new
Yeah,
look, picking two young and shifty guys, which is not something we typically see from Haya. So I definitely think they're out for blood this season. They've come really close in the past couple seasons and couple of years. So maybe we see a deep run in this
yeah.
season.
Always a
Yeah.
bridesmaid, never a bride.
Sorry, I would like to say
Right.
that I think in that game that just passed, Ali Khwaja didn't get a warm up, so he was a little bit cold in the
Mhm.
beginning.
The
There were
whole
a
team
couple
was
goals
cold.
that went in. Yeah. So but I do gotta shout out my boy Khizr Ahmed for scoring his first ISAM goal and getting that second star.
Yeah, yes, yeah, that's a
It was
good
actually
one.
a
He
good
played
goal.
excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always in the right areas, and you know what? I think he's gonna be the sleeper pick. That's gonna surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I think he is like we mentioned a lot, a steal,
yeah.
right? And to think the guy picked up a stick like 8 months ago. I mean, his whole life he's been a goalie. It's insane to see his
And he
growth, and
can
I
also,
think this
but
season is we're
the
only going
the
to see
other thing
more.
as well is I just want to emphasize the importance of coming on time, right? Like you see the
There you
difference
go.
it makes, not just in our game, but also in Yakin's game. I think Habibi, correct me if I'm wrong, but not everybody was there on time. And
No,
when
and
you
that's and
get
that
and when you get caught out, when you get caught like that, when you don't have your top guys and the whole team that's there, then it kind of just puts you in a frenzy, right? Who's going, who's playing where, who are you subbing off for, who's coming on when. So
Yeah,
I think that,
I'm a firm believer that the
yeah,
game actually starts in the locker room. I've always been a prime supporter of that philosophy. Game actually doesn't start in the rink. It starts with the camaraderie. It starts with, the guys just kind of gelling in the locker room, and it really does play into factor in terms of arriving on time. So if your game's at 8, you should be in the locker room at least by like 7:45, at least 15 minutes in the locker room. You
Yeah,
don't show up,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
that's not even 8 o'clock. Could be for 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever time your game is. You have, in my opinion, the game doesn't start there; it starts in the locker room. But you're absolutely correct, Arsenal. The guy we were having, guys like that came in late. I know that the weather did play a slight factor in terms of like that. But at the end of the day, it's just govern yourselves accordingly. The only person that you're responsible for is
Yeah,
yourself, and if you can control that, like in terms of you being on time, you'll be amazed that the other 14 guys will also be on time, and how important that will play in terms of like the
mm,
next 30 minutes of your game.
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. So moving on to the next game, and also this is your game, so you can chime in. San with a 5-3 win over Rida. From what I saw, it was pretty it was a little close when I got there. I think it was like maybe a 2-0 San, and then had the locker room. And I saw it was 5-3. I think Arsenal, you were playing pretty well from what I saw. But yeah, from what you saw in the crease, how do you like your new team, and what are your thoughts on this Rida team?
Yeah, so I mean, listen, like this was a really good game for us, and I was really happy with how Daoud drafted the team. I think the martial team really solid drafted in all cores. We have offense, we have defense, we also have goaltending. So alhamdulillah, I'm really happy about that. But in terms of this game specifically, like, so they didn't even have a goalie in the first in the first 3 4 minutes, right?
Yeah,
Like
we
they
had
were
to start
playing.
the game with
We
six
had
guys. Yep.
they didn't even have enough players. They didn't have a goalie. The goalie came in and maybe like what 6 7 minutes into the first, or maybe it was like 3 4 minutes into the first half. Um, and then with like Yaya and Boli, they came in a lot later onto into the period, and that could be obviously due to weather. So you know what? As much as 100%, I give credit to Hamza Ali. Hamza Ali played lights out. Like having him on our team and
Yeah,
him being a GM, like he really found his rhythm again. I know last season wasn't the best. It was a
Oh,
struggle,
he
but
had a good season last season.
yeah, but I mean he was on
Just on the wrong teams, maybe.
just on the wrong team. So Hamza with us, like mashallah, 2 goals, 2 assists. That's what are you gonna say, right? You try to contain his speed as much as you
yeah,
can, and at the same time, Zahir just picking up where he left off. He's a purebred goal scorer. He knows what to do, curl and shoot, and also at the same time, like he's got the hand. So we played really well defensively. We were very strong. Um, and then at the same time, like I said, Rida, they came late. It caught him. We scored a quick goal. We scored early 2 quick goals. And then yeah, this is the importance of coming on time for Yahya and Bully. If you're there on time, then it's fair game. It could be a lot different. But yeah, we played excellent. I think defensively we were strong. We try to keep them to the outside, and then even offensively, we just had the right lines clicking. Like Zahir, Hamza, and Dawood. That was a very well drafted line, and you'll see the difference it makes. But having important guys also on defense like General Zaidi, and then you also have like
yeah.
it's an important pillar, Naeem Malik. Um, these are really important guys to have on D. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to what the future is.
Yeah, not to take
Yeah,
anything away from
absolutely.
Rizzo too. I mean, they also drafted a great team. Obviously, a lot of unknowns because of you know, the familiarity with Bully and Yahya in terms of like the guys that they know from the East End. But looking at the roster, um, it just goes back to what we're saying before. Like if they were all showed up on time and they were there and they started, as a team right off the bat, I think the score would have been different. But again, Hassan, you guys did a great job. Dawood with his 8-year contracts. I'm sure you're on that as well.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you can't
Well,
deny the familiarity that Dawood has with his players, because he once he plays with you, he's not letting you go. So, but again, I think the same philosophy goes with Roda. I mean, obviously that team is obviously uh, a bunch of guys that know each other, and I think if they were all there at the same time, I think they would have probably put up a better fight than the score just showed.
And also they were missing Abu Manja, so I
Oh,
know that
that's a
that's a
big factor as well.
that's a big factor, right? So having all your players, I'm really curious to see how they're gonna do once all their players are there on time and they're playing. That's when we really get an idea of what their really true potential is. But from what I say from my son is bring it on, right? So
yeah. All right. Well, going on to the final game of the night. Obviously, I was in this one 4-1. Floss beat Stubber. Yeah, this was an awesome game to be a part of. You see the chemistry with all the Greenbirds guys. Batar, Wadi, and Hamdani, and then their chemistry with Sani was just, it was a force that obviously Stubber couldn't tame. I don't think the score is quite a reflection of how tight the game was. I mean, Real Hussein played lights out. If it weren't for him, we probably would have put like at least three more in. But yeah, he made some crazy saves. But I think ultimately it was just the chemistry of our top line and really all of our lines. I think Wadi kind of GM'd with Daoud for one season and took a page out of his playbook and took all of the guys that Daoud wanted to take, like Zahid and obviously Asman, Orful Dai as well. A lot of guys that were former Sani, a lot of guys that are formerly in the Ihsan contract. Now we're on a class, right? So it's going to be interesting to play against Ihsan when we do. But yeah, the chemistry was there from day one, obviously.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
it's funny because when I was talking to Suburb players regarding this game, they were saying the same thing about you, that you played
yeah,
actually
yeah.
like because they actually had a lot of
Okay.
opportunity, and you shut them down. Like with Bika Hamoudi on that team, you got a lot of
Yeah.
guys that you can't discount from Suburb. Like, like I said, the list goes on in terms of like how well Suburb drafted, but they were also
Hmm.
missing key guys too. I think they were missing Farouk Khan, and they were also missing Josepha Punchboy,
Yeah.
which
It's like a fun player.
obviously is a big factor. But
key
again,
player.
when I speak to Suburb guys, they said the same thing about you. Yusuf played well,
Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't. And again, the score is. I mean, there's no question in terms of the chemistry that Colossus top line has. But again,
Hmm.
the teams that play against them will obviously have to tailor make their strategies against that. And I think what Suburb did is they just kind of rolled their lines. They
Yeah.
they didn't really line match or anything like that. It was just more or less, getting the guys familiar, getting the guys out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
but as the season progresses and as we start getting, as the league and as the players and as the GMs get more familiar with, what Ikhlas has, obviously teams are going to have to match up and stuff like that. But again, with Subber, I know a lot of guys on Subber. It was pretty much that first game, getting the guys out there, getting familiar. But again, I wouldn't discount Subber at all. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think the score was indicative in terms of like how the game was.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know a lot of guys on server as well. Obviously, my brother's there, my cousin's there. Yusuf Bungish, who I know pretty well, and it was interesting for me to see the lines that were coming off the bench. There were a lot of jumbling. I think a lot of just kind of trying to get the guys to know each other a little more.
Yeah.
Obviously, missing two guys, so definitely don't discount Suburb, especially because it looks like it was a bit of a one-sided battle, but that's yeah, definitely far from the truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, inshallah, we'll go into the schedule for next week. So starting us off, we have Yakin versus Taqwa. Taqwa's obviously coming off of that landslide loss, and Yakin is also coming off of a loss, not as close, obviously, but got that new addition with Adam Ahmed. So Habibi, you're obviously in this game. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I mean,
What are you looking for
again,
this game?
yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fun game to watch. Obviously, I love the guys on Tuckwa. I play with the guys on Tuckwa on Wednesdays in another league, so very familiar with the guys there, and in terms of like what they have to produce and what they're capable of doing. So I wouldn't discount Tuckwa. I think Tuckwa drafted extremely well. I don't think that them losing 6-1 is indicative at all of what they of what they could do. The Siddiqui brothers are tearing it up, and they're continue to tear it up. But obviously, with the additions of who they drafted. Again, in my opinion, with Hussein Panju, Yusuf Zaidi, they still got the regular suspects that will play on that team with Bilal and all those guys. But these guys are definitely a team to watch out for. I think they have Mufti in that too, so obviously that's that plays a factor. I think for us, obviously, I once we started playing that second half, I think we started getting familiar with with what our team is and stuff like that. But I think it'll be a great game. I wouldn't discount Taqwa, but of course, shout out to
Mhm.
Yakin because obviously with Adam Ahmed in the speed that he has, obviously it'll counterbalance in terms of what the Siddiqui brothers can
Mhm.
get. But this is definitely a good game to watch, and I'm glad that I'll be able to take a part in it for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
not going to give
Um,
predictions, but if I am, obviously my my loyalty is to Yakin on this one.
So
of
what do you
course.
think the score is going to be, Habibi?
I really try to stay away from scores, but we'll just I think both goalies are amazing in this one. Obviously, like
This
we
is a
have
goalie
you have
battle.
Muf-
This is going to
yeah
be
you
a
have
hard.
you have
Yeah.
you have it'll be a forwards, but again, like if you got a goalie that's that's solid, that obviously then that kind of wears it out. I'm not going to put a score on it. I just think Yakin will come on top.
All right. Yeah. And then our next one is Iman versus Haya. Two teams also coming off of a win. Yeah, Iman coming off of obviously that huge win, and then Haya coming off that nail biter win. What are we thinking from this one? I mean, we got a really fast young team in Iman with all the Mohideen brothers. And then with Haya, we have a new look, right? We have that speed, and we have a little more of that grit.
So this one is going to be it. This is honestly, in my opinion, this is going to be speed versus veteran
Watch it.
leadership.
Watch what you say. Watch what you say.
I no, I no. I'm
Because
saying it's going to be speed versus
the hustle.
veteran leadership, right?
Well,
And
they both got leadership. I mean, I
yeah,
wouldn't say
so it
leadership.
Haya. I mean, you have, but then again, they also have Rayan and they have
I
Altaf,
mean, they
right?
got
They have
Pachati
speed as
first and
well.
they got Ray second. So
So yeah, this is going to be an interesting bout. I'm really excited for this game because I really want to see with Iman and with their familiarities with the Muhyiddin brothers and how that line's going to really go up against Rayan, Altaf, Suf, Luke. Like you have like they're both star-studded teams.
Yep.
So I'm really like but then again you have Yusuf Kapoor and who's Haya's goalie? I can't remember. I think is
Highest
who's
goalie, I think, is
Mahida?
Mahida. Yeah, so you
yeah.
have Kapoor
Yeah.
against Mahida. That's another good goalie battle.
Yeah. Both of
So
them coming off really good
yeah,
seasons, right?
yeah. They're both coming off great seasons, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. But this is going to be a game I really want to see.
And are you
Yeah.
up for predictions?
I think I think Iman's going to win this one again. They're going to win another one.
Okay.
It's going to be tight, maybe 2-1. I don't know. We'll see, but I think Iman will take it again.
I agree with Rizzy. I think this is going to be speed versus death for sure. You know what I mean? Like, and when I say speed, I mean like these guys are young and fast. They're not even old and fast. They're just young and fast and small. I mean, and they're just going to cause havoc around you. So if you don't really contain them, then they'll run circles around you. So, but again, the one thing that, and I agree with Rizzy, the one thing that that Haya has is they do have the depth, so they might be able to contain them. But
Mhm.
again, we'll see what happens. I mean, this is definitely going to be yeah, it's going to be a good game to watch for sure.
Yeah. And then our third game of the night is Sun versus Suburb, right? All right, so that's your team. So if you want to chime in again, what do you think about
I'm looking forward to
Suburb? What do
this
you think
one.
you guys are looking
I
out for?
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I was talking to Riaz about it, and he was telling me he's like, we play you guys next week, so I'm looking forward to this one. It's gonna be me,
Yeah.
me, and obviously on the other side you have Riaz. Again, the question
Yeah.
mark is their first round pick because if a bunch are gonna show up, right? And
Mm. Yeah.
I don't think so, but
Okay.
it's gonna be interesting to see how Summer bounced back from last week. They do have key players. We can't forget Asebika. I know he went
Yeah.
second or third overall, but like he's got a good shot. So it's going to be very important to contain guys like him that are there to be able to just stop him as quick as you can. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's I'm looking forward to this. I think I have full faith that Isan's going to come out strong. If we keep playing the way we did last week, and we're finding chemistry. We're trying to figure our lines out, and obviously our top line, Hamla, is doing well. Then I think we should be fine. There shouldn't be any problems. But again, Riaz is the top goalie. I think we all know that.
Yep.
So it's gonna be. We'll have to beating him is it's not easy. You
Not
have
at
to
all.
really try to get the ball moving, try to get bodies in front of him, or and get the ball from side to side, or make a mistake. My thing would be let him give him the ball, bait him to come out, and then try to catch him catch him moving side to side or something like
But
that. You know.
Yeah,
the thing is, you can also discount the defense that Sabah has too. I mean, with Coco,
absolutely. Yeah,
Khan, like those guys drafted, solid D-men. So it's one thing that you
Exactly.
got Riaz Hussein there, but you can't discount their D-men. And I think Farouk Khan and even Josepha plays defense too. So if you really wanted to, so you got, I think, in you got a solid goaltender in Riaz, but you also got solid demon as well. This is, in my opinion, a very evenly matched. I think these two are evenly matched, in my opinion, looking from the outside in. But I think I'd give it a little bit of an edge in terms of like the Subber defense, like in terms of like what that does. But I think looking at it from the outside in, subjectively, I think both teams drafted extremely well. But it'd be interesting to see what happens in terms of like what forwards can really do damage um,
And
to the D.
you got Hamoudi, right? Hamoudi's there. You also have got
Yep.
like
yeah.
a giant tower. Imagine him coming right at you, right?
Mm.
He's in front of you. It's
He's a
almost
gentle
impossible.
giant. Don't worry about that guy.
He's a gentle giant, but until he gets in your crease, then it's like, no, Hamoudi, stay away.
Yep, yep. Hamoudi Vika and Zayd Flair had a couple good shifts
Hassan
against
Muhammad,
me.
how can you forget your brother?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. That guy's
we know
That's true
decent. That
too.
guy's
Yeah.
decent too.
we all
Solid
know what he's
third
capable of.
liner. Solid fourth liner on his best day, but
But at
Wow.
the
Wow.
Hassan's definitely improved a lot. I mean him and then Zayd Flair and I guess
but at
yeah,
the same
mainly him and Zayd Flair were guys that I was really concerned about entering the zone. Because he's gone a lot better. He had the assist on the only goal.
And
He
you can't
he
forget Coco.
stole it
You
off
can't
of
you can't
yeah, he
Coco
stole it off.
Bungash. Like they got
Yeah,
deep.
Bungus. Yeah, Bungus has got a good shot. He didn't really utilize that much, which I was happy with. But yeah, they're definitely very deep team. So
at,
they're
at,
gonna
at
be
the
a
same
good
time
game to
though,
watch.
at the same time, Yusuf, I would say like I think, and this is the beauty of Winter 2025 is every team is so stacked that
Yeah,
every game is bound to be a good game. It's just
yeah,
everybody has such quality players on each team that I'm
Yeah.
looking at up and down the rosters that we can take Yakin, we can take Ikhlaq, we can take Taqwa and be like, all of them are great teams, and they really are. So I think it really come down. I think what it's going to come down to is the chemistry is going to be the biggest aspect.
And
How
attendance.
early, yeah, attendance, and how early can you get everybody to gel together, right?
Yeah.
Because the earlier you
right.
can get that, earlier you can get the chemistry to be there and them to play and work together as a unit. I think you're going to start winning games and you're going to have the upper hand. So, and that's where I think Ehsan did an excellent job with like, I mean, when you have guys like Riaz Lasania, Ehsan Zaidi, um, and then Hashim Chaudhry, Naeem Malik,
Yeah.
and then Imran Shah, Abdul Aziz. Like when you've got
I
that's a
mean,
solid
Santini,
stack
you can't
D
forget
lineup, right?
Santini.
So
Yeah.
that's where it also gives me confidence and it gives the team confidence that we have the right pieces to move forward. Especially when you look at depth, you look at Safdin Sheikh that was drafted way
Oh
low,
yeah,
Qasim Mahmoud, Hamza Gaya, who's like
oh
we
yeah,
know what he's
speed,
capable of,
speed, yeah.
right? So I'm really looking forward to Ehsan versus Sabr. I think it's going to be a blockbuster game.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I agree with I agree with what you're saying because from where I sit, when I talk to guys and every guy that like you said, every guy that said, yeah, I got the best team. I'm on the best team. And from my perspective, it's amazing because when I have 8 teams saying that they all drafted well, and they're all playing on a great team, it's actually a very good thing. But with every good team, there's always a weakness, and that's why I'll go a step above and I'll say, you know what, all the GMs of each team will be able to dissect it, every other team, and say, you know what, I'm looking at Ahsan and I see that this is their weakness. Or I'm Subber and I'm
mhm,
saying, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking at the other team saying, you know what? I know that, we're all great teams, but to every great team, there's weaknesses. And I think with Subber, um, like their advantage over, like I think, like I still say it, I think SN and Subber are both evenly drafted. I think they're both evenly well teams, but I think Subber has that slight edge, in terms of that defensive, and I think that's just their strength. You know what I mean? Over over this team. But we'll see what happens. Like, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a high scoring affair by any means. I also think it'll be a 2-1, and I won't say who will win.
Well,
Okay,
you know,
interesting.
is
We got our first score prediction for the night.
trust the process, right? I mean,
Okay,
like
okay.
to your point, Habibi, like you said, like I mean, look at our summer team last season, right? We were amazing
Hey,
on paper.
hey,
We were amazing on paper, and
yeah,
it's hard to find chemistry together. It's just that's the reality, right? You really need to
yeah.
shift guys, let them work together, let them develop, and then. But yeah, I don't know. I
But
mean,
it comes with attendance. I mean, when you got guys that will consistently show up
100%.
and
Yeah,
consistently show up on time, then that chemistry gets developed. It's a 12-game series. It's a 12-game
Yep.
season. You should be able to have some sort of chemistry, or at least establish, or at least know your role on a team by the third game. If you haven't, you might want to reassess your team a bit.
my whole thing with
Yeah.
attendance is like if you're paying to come and play a
Yeah.
season, if you
Why
don't
wouldn't
show
you
up,
come?
you're losing money, right?
Of course, yeah.
Anyways, that's your Pakistani inside if you're kicking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and in the league full of brown guys, you expect everyone to be there right on time.
Or a bunch of Arabs is the same. There's no Habib. I will not play. No worries.
No, they
Yeah.
focus more on the shisha part after.
Yeah, they come for the after party.
That's another podcast. That's another
That's
podcast.
another podcast. Okay, then moving on to the last game of the night, my team at lost versus Rida. Rida coming off of a tight loss, even though they had a no goalie for the first little bit, and then us coming off of a pretty strong win, even though it was pretty close. We guys played well, like I said. Yeah, but yeah, I'm curious to know any pointers you have for me against a team like Rida. I know they have some good quality between obviously the GMs and the Nayaz. I remember seeing a pretty good tic-tac-toe goal that you had no chance on, just because they moved to the right places, got in got some good shots on.
The only
Um,
thing I
so
say is
what do you see from them?
they're unorthodox, man. Like
Mm.
you know, like yeah. Listen, with bully, you're always gonna get an unorthodox type of play, right?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
will put
I mean,
himself
bully
forward.
shot one. Yeah,
Yeah, he'll put himself forward first half, and then all of a sudden go on
yeah,
defense the next half, and it will
yeah,
completely throw your whole game plan off, right?
yeah.
But then again, why can he do that? He can do that because he knows the guys he drafted. He knows Yahya
Mhm.
Kotiwala. You have guys like Ayaz Patel. I know what he's capable of, and he can
Yeah,
cause havoc
he's
when he
great.
can. He's fast. He can shoot from anywhere. So you gotta expect to be quick because he can literally take a shot from the half, and I've seen it go in. Or he can shoot from a corner, but he can also dangle and he can just pop the ball top shelf. So
Mm-hmm.
it's guys like him, Bully, Yahya Kotiwala, and then you have like it's a mix of Malton and all the Palace guys. And listen, like this is what I meant. Like that team is scary, and if they show up on
Yeah,
time, it's gonna be interesting because we didn't, like I said, we didn't really see their full potential the first game. But if they're all there,
right.
and then on top of that, if you Abu showing up,
Right, right.
that's gonna be a whole different story. But at the
Yeah,
same
I
time, with
forgot
the
Abu
class,
didn't show up. Yeah,
with the class, like what I saw, Greenberg's magic in the first game.
yeah,
This is looking like this
yeah.
to
So
me. I
I
think
think
this is
it's
gonna be the
looking
game of
like
the night.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think it's
think
gonna
it's
be the
looking
game of the
like
night. Yeah.
I think it's looking like set plays versus capitalizing off of the odd bounce here and there, and just kind of full throttle battle, like hard battle to every ball, and then if things going to be some curveballs. Like literally, I mean, like Bully one time, like you said, he switched to D randomly, just floated it, and then I hear the crossbar, and then it goes in, right? So you really never know what to expect with him, and I think that translates to the rest of the team. Like you said, it's a mix of Malton and Palace, so it's a mix of different guys that have played together, so a mix of different game styles. So yeah, I think it'll be the game of the night. I think it's always, there's a little bias, but I think it's always the game of the night when you have guys like Usman and Wadi and Hamdani on the same team. So
Yeah,
I would encourage everyone to stick around and watch that game.
I couldn't agree with you more. Like, you said it pretty well, Yusuf, when you say like with Rida, you don't know what you're getting. You know what I mean? So for when you got the GMs on the club side, they're like, okay, how do we assess this team when we don't know the identity of this team?
Yep.
Because you got a mishmash of of guys that'll just play anywhere and everywhere. And again, even to the league in itself, Rida's unknown because there's a lot of guys from the East End that from, like you said,
Yeah, yeah,
from the Palace system, the Markham system, that we don't know, but we do know the system that Ikhlas comes from. You're getting pretty
Yeah,
much and then a 99% perfection game.
yeah,
So you pretty much have to kind of adapt yourself to that style. So again, from a GM's perspective, it's like, okay, we know what we need to do against Ikhlas because of the obvious talent that Ikhlas has is, but with Rida, we don't know what that is. So
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's an unknown.
from the GM's perspective, it's unknown. But obviously, as the season progresses and once the guys start having their eyes open in terms of like the identity of each team, Rida's weaknesses will get exposed. But again, like the talent that Rida has, because it's so unknown, they also got a lot of chemistry because they also got a lot of guys that have played with each other in their own systems, right? So
yeah, yeah. And I
I
remember in the podcast when they would, make their pick. Arsenal and I would look at each other and be like, "Oh, we're not too familiar. Welcome to the league." A lot of welcome to the leagues
welcome
on
to the
that team,
league.
but they came out swinging,
oh,
and
but they know who they picked. I can
they
Oh
know,
assure
yeah.
you,
yeah, they know, yeah,
they know, they
But at
know.
yeah,
the same
absolutely.
time, Yusuf, I would say the one thing that I've seen Bully do this, and I'll say it live, is he loves lobbing the ball right from the back, above everybody, over to the other side,
Mhm.
right? So you'll
Yeah,
have to watch out for those type of passes. They're cheeky, and they they love playing cheeky game, right?
Well, because
Um,
yeah,
they got
yeah,
guys that can run too, right?
you know, guys that
yeah,
can run, yeah. But at the
So
same time, like I was just, I mean, how can you discount Ikhlas when they have Osman Batar, Farouk Sani, Mikhail
yeah,
Zedi, Omar Farouk Diallo,
we all know what a clause can. We all know,
Zuhair Fancy,
you're
Danish
right.
Khan, Zahid
You
Punch by a
you
miss, but
can't. It's
that's
not
just
the
how
obvious
they
guys, but
run.
it's obviously the supporting cast too. You're absolutely right. You got,
yeah,
Farouk Dai, you got, Faisal Mahbub, obviously you got Syed, you got, I think Mispa's on that team, and you got,
Yeah,
I think my boy Adnan on that team, Taha's on that
yeah,
team. So again,
yeah.
it's not just the obvious.
It feels like you're talking about a Saturday.
You got a very good supporting cast too, which adds to depth. Do you know what I mean?
a
Yeah,
But
lot of depth.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
yeah, and it showed. I don't. I actually I don't. I didn't really watch that Ikhlas game, but obviously, like, I'm sure that the supporting cast of Ikhlas had a big part to do with the victory from last week as well.
Oh, absolutely. I remember seeing like the top line get off. Obviously, had the most chemistry, and then after about 30, 45 seconds to a minute, I'd be like, "Okay, let's get these guys back on." But then the supporting cast were holding their own. They were playing amazing. A lot of them have that chemistry from being locked into those
Yeah, man.
contacts. And so yeah, I mean, definitely, I think one of the better second and third lines in the league,
And
honestly.
the biggest difference is you have Roberto Luongo in net for Ikhlas, you know. So it's gonna be interesting. How are you gonna beat
Thank you.
how are you gonna be Yusuf? I've seen your game, Yusuf, and I've seen, like, mashallah,
Yeah,
you play well, and it's gonna be. I'm curious to see how Degmaster is gonna play. Right, we really haven't
yeah,
seen
yeah,
his full potential yet. Obviously he came late first game, but
yeah.
mashallah, goalies are looking solid in all of the
Yeah,
games.
alhamdulillah. And honestly, I don't even feel like I was tested in that last game too much. They have really good shooters. I was expecting a little more, but my defense just did such a good job just blocking those shots. Keeping the zone clear, allowing me to not gas myself out. So I was able to come across and make those couple big saves. But yeah, I guess that wraps up the games for tomorrow night. It's looking like a stacked night. And I
Yep.
got any final thoughts before we wrap this up, inshallah?
Well, for me, it's obviously, the guys, let's show up on time. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely.
And it's not only from me because I have vested interest for you to guys show up on time, but it's also for your teams. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that really that's literally what it boils down to. So just show up on time, guys. It's not only doing yourself a favor, it's you're doing your team a favor because the more you guys play together, the more you're in sync in the locker room, the more that transcends over to your game. So arrive on time. It's like you guys said, you guys all paid for this. So I mean, it's you guys got financial interest in terms of making sure that you get
We paid
the
for
be-
it.
the best value for your dollar. You know what I mean?
We paid. Come on, man.
Unless you want to be Arab and say, no, Habibi, I will play next week, no problem. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
just
Thanks,
Like,
Rizzy. Thanks, Rizzy,
is
for
that
the
Rizzy?
update. Willie and OT. I was wondering
Is that
who
Rizzy that said
won
Leafs
that.
win in OT? Rizzy, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Leafs win in OT, but what's the point where you're gonna get kicked out of the playoffs?
ooh.
Okay.
Hey, watch you. You're amongst the Leaf fan here,
Tell
so
me your house fan. I'll tell me your house fan.
So, no,
All right.
the only thing I do want to say is, like, hey, listen, the weather has been bad. I don't know how it's gonna look like tomorrow, but like, just guys, if you're coming from far away, especially for I know like when Hamdani's coming from far with us, all these guys coming from Scarborough, just instead of leaving later and then trying to speed and put your life in danger, just be careful, right? Just arrive safe because safety is the most important thing, and leave a little bit on time. But yeah, please just be careful when you drive on the road. There's a lot of crazy drivers out there, so
Mhm.
please don't be anybody injured.
Yeah. All right. Well, great
Well,
ending
listen,
message from Rizzy. It'll be a fun night. Let's go. Great show, boys. Thank you, Rizzy.
thanks for
Um,
hosting, buddy.
Jazakallah for
of course.
hosting,
Thank you.
Yusuf. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
You
This was
know,
kind of like a last minute kind of thing, and I'm sure
yeah,
like
the
you
just
getting
kind of
acquainted
left
with
and said, "Hey, yeah,
kind
you
of
do this."
the technical stuff in terms of the format.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Hey,
the
man,
spirit, Rizzy.
we appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. See you boys tomorrow, inshallah, on time. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Jazakallah.
100%.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah,